So I am in Kiev, but I'm going to talk about Crimea because there's been a bit of a drama around it recently, as you probably know. But it's always been highly sought after and fought over. So to run over some of its previous owners, you had the Scythians and other nomadic tribes. The ancient Greeks had colonies there, then the ancient Romans came in. The Byzantine Empire kept a presence there for a long time, and Italian states like Genoa also set up colonies there too. Then the Mongols came through, and it's believed that when they were besieging the Genoese cities, although this could be inaccurate, that they catapulted over plague victims over the city walls, and this is how the plague came into Europe. Then after the Mongols, you had the likes of the Crimean Khanate and the Ottoman Empire, who had presence in Crimea, and eventually the Russians moved in the 18th century. Then during the Civil War, it switched hands between the short-lived Ukrainian republics and the Red Army and the White Army, and even for a short while it set up its own government. Then, of course, the Bolsheviks took over, and the Ukrainian Soviet was granted Crimea a few decades later, but this is where it becomes a bit too controversial, so I'll leave it there. Now I'm probably missing out the odd civilization that colonized the region, but there are two that I found particularly interesting. First of all, the Goths. Now, the Goths first arrived in Crimea during the migration period, but despite being allegedly weaker than a lot of the other Gothic settlements, their culture stayed in Crimea longer than anywhere else. And there's Ottoman explorers who report a Germanic language being spoken in Crimea as late as the 15th century. And this is something that Hitler used when planning to fully annex Crimea. And finally, the English. Now, it is said that in the 11th century, well, there's reports in the 11th century, that Anglo-Saxons fleeing the Normans set up colonies in Crimea and along the Black Sea. This is being dubbed New England, well, the first New England, obviously, not the American one. But aside from the odd report, there's no actual archaeological evidence to suggest that these colonies existed. But this may not be as unbelievable as you might think at first. After all, there are a lot of reports of Anglo-Saxons fleeing England after Norman conquest, joining the Varangian Guard. Now, the Varangian Guard was the elite guard of the Byzantine Empire. So they could well have been granted land as a sort of reward for their service, but again, nobody knows for sure.